All right. Shalom, Yasharala. Before we get started, we're going to give our praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachak Wadash, and double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone, the teacher and well. Peace and citation to the hopeful elect. Back another video, another lesson. And the title of this one's going to be called, well, it's going to be Response, Having Multiple Wives is Biblical. IUIC is looking bad. All right. And it's going to be a response to the brother from the GMS Des Moines, Iowa camp. All right. Which he's doing a response to that with Apostle Tahar's video. All right. So, I'm doing my response to it. And this is a response to the IUIC Captain Gedaliah, one of the heads, all right, of IUIC. All right, his name is Captain Gedaliah. He's on the show. This guy's on the left side of your screen. His name is Marquette Devon or something like that, And he was being interviewed, and he had Captain Gedaliah of IUIC on there, and he went into, well, I didn't really watch. I'm not gonna go to the channel and watch the interview, but IUIC is of the notion that you're not allowed to have multiple wives in captivity. You're only supposed to have one wife. That's what they teach. They teach the one wife doctrine. And then it's clearly in the scriptures that men, Israelite men in general can have multiple women. But dealing with the Israelite man in our culture, we can have multiple wives. And it's not a sin. It's not lustful. We did it in righteousness, of course. Now King Solomon, he did have 1,000 women. But the Lord, what? He wasn't against it. He allowed it. All right. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter if you have one woman or 1,000. They're all wicked. As the scriptures say, though they're wicked. Let's get that real quick. All right. There's Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 26. And it says, I find more bitter than death the woman whose heart is snares and nets, and her hands as bands. Whoso pleaseth the Most High shall escape her, but the sinner shall be taken by her. Behold, this have I found, saith the preacher, counting one by one to find out the account, which yet my soul seeketh, but I find not. One man among 1,000 have I found, but a woman among all those have I not found. See that? I see that in NLT. I started verse 26. I discovered that a seductive woman is a trap more bitter than death. Her passion is a snare, and her soft hands are chains. Those who are pleasing to God, the Most High, will escape her. From sinners, it says, but sinners will be caught in her snare. This is my conclusion, says the teacher. I discovered this after looking at the matter from every every possible angle. Though I have searched repeatedly, I have not found what I was looking for. Only one out of 1,000 men is virtuous, but not one woman. You see? So out of 1,000 men, Solomon, who wrote the book of Ecclesiastes, he wrote he only found out of 1,000 men, only one was righteous. But out of 1,000 women, none were righteous. So it doesn't matter if you have one or 1,000, they're wicked. They're not right. And that's what the scriptures say. But that's not of our own. And brothers do have personal experiences with women. And the conclusion is, they're all wicked. They're not like men. You see, but dealing with the multiple wife thing, yes, it is a law. It's a law. It's in the law we're allowed to have multiple women. Now we're not pushing that out. Saying and because in these times right now that we're in, we're not really pushing that out. Because women can be a distraction. So some brothers deal with one or none. Now, some brothers do have, two, they may get two wives or three or four. That's up to them because it's lawful. But what did Paul say? Okay. This is second. 1 Corinthians. I'm gonna start at verse 27. 1 Corinthians 7:27. It says, "Art thou bound unto a wife? Seek not to be loosed. Art thou loosed from a wife? Seek not a wife. But and if thou marry, thou hast not sinned. And if a virgin marry, she have not sinned. Nevertheless, she shall have." Salakia. Read that wrong. Reread it. "But and if thou marry, thou hast not sinned. And if a virgin marry, she have not sinned. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh, but I spare you." So you're gonna have, if you get a woman, you're gonna have trouble in the flesh. If you're, single, you're not gonna be able. If you're single, you're not gonna deal with those problems. Because the woman, they want to be in the world. They want to do things. They need attention. But if you get a woman, it's not. No, you're not breaking it. It's get you a woman. It says, where is it at? Is it in this chapter? Yeah. 1 Corinthians 7, and I'll start at 8. It says, I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. Because Paul, he was a eunuch, and a eunuch, not the eunuch when you cut your rod off. No, not that eunuch. He was a eunuch. He didn't deal with women for the ministry, so he didn't deal with women. He was focused on, on his ministry, man. All right. He was focused on, the kingdom of heaven coming, preaching the word. Right. And then you got brothers like that, brothers, they won't deal with women. Yeah. And they had that, they can fight their desires. They can fight that, those, I won't say temptations, but they fight their desires to not deal with any women, but verse 9 says, but if they cannot contain, let them marry. For it is better to marry than to burn. You gotta get you some. You need something, go get you a woman. There's nothing wrong with that. But saying, pushing the one wife doctrine, that's what they push in Christianity. The one wife thing. Because they go to they read like a bishop can have supposed to be one wife, and they apply that to everybody. No, that's the office of a bishop. Because there are overseers over the church, and when they have multiple women, they won't be able to, focus on their duties. You see? But men are allowed to have multiple women. Let's get, all right? And you go watch the brother's video and the Elder Pastor Har's video. All right? I haven't watched it yet. I have yet to watch his video. Lord willing, I'll be able to. Later on, I might go to the gym and watch the Elder's video. But let's get Exodus. Okay? Exodus 21. And there's multiple, examples of our forefathers getting women, including our ancient forefathers, Abraham, Jacob. I don't believe Isaac. I believe he only dealt with Rebecca, but Abraham and Jacob, of course, they had a lot of women, I don't want to make this you could say Salakia, Moses. Because he had a woman, he was dealing with Zipporah, and then in Numbers, he had an Ethiopian woman, But this is Exodus 21 and verse 10, it says, if he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. So if you get another wife, you gotta do the same thing for your first wife, and your first wife, her she can't be diminished, So you gotta, treat them, but equally, if you want to say, right? Let's get and it's not gonna be nothing long. We always go through this. Let's get 2 Chronicles 11-18. All right, this is Rehoboam. 2 Chronicles chapter 11 verse 18. Rehoboam's family. It says, and Rehoboam took him Mahalath, the daughter of Jeremoth, the son of David, to wife, and Abihal, the daughter of Eliab, the son of Jesse, which bare him children. All right, Jewesh and Shemariah, and Zaham. And after her, and Salakia, and after her he took Maachah, the daughter of Absalom, which bare him Abijah, and Attai, and Ziza, and Shilamoth, and Shilamith. And Rehoboam loved Maachah, the daughter of Absalom, above all his wives and his concubines. For he took 18 wives and 60 concubines, and begat 28 sons and 60 daughters. Woo! See that? So Rehoboam, he had a lot of, and this was King Solomon's son. So he was a king over. He was a king over Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. All right, and yeah, they were kings. But still, let's go to the beginning. Let's get Exodus. Is it 1? Yeah, Exodus 1:7. It says, "And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly, and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them." You see, now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph, and he said unto his people, "Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more mightier than we. Come, come on, let us deal with them. Let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set." It says, "Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens." It says, "And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they are grieved because of the children of Israel." You see, so we multiplied even in Egypt. I'm pretty sure the men in Egypt had multiple women. They didn't just have one wife. All right, because how are they multiplying? You see that? So that one wife thing it's nothing wrong with having one wife. There's nothing that we're against, but pushing that out as a doctrine, no, that's not. It's nowhere in the scriptures where it says you must have one wife. No, like I said, that's the office of a bishop. Okay, but having one wife, there's nothing wrong with that. You want to have one wife, then hey, just have one wife. But in the kingdom, we're going to have multiple wives. That includes even the 2/3. Now, they're not going to have more than the elect, but even the men of the 2/3, they're going to have multiple women, So, hey, that's what it is. Okay, let's get 1 Samuel. This is 1 Samuel 25:42. This is King David. All right. 1 Samuel chapter 5. 1 Samuel chapter 25. And I started 39. David marries Abigail. It says, "And when David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, Blessed be the Lord Yahweh." That's the Most High's name. And his son's name is Yahweh Shai. All right, "Blessed be the Lord Yahweh, that have pleaded the cause of my reproach from the hand of Nabal, and have kept his servant from evil. For the Lord, all right, have returned the wickedness of Nabal upon his own head." And David sent and communed with Abigail to take her to him to wife. And when the servants of David were come to Abigail to Carmel, they spake unto her, saying, "David sent us unto thee to take thee to him to wife." And she arose and bowed herself on her face to the earth, and said, "Behold, let thine handmaid be a servant to wash the feet of the servants of my lord." And Abigail hasted and arose and rode upon an ass with 5 damsels of hers that went after her. And she went after the messengers of David and became his wife. David also took Ahinoam of Jezreel, and they were also both of them his wives. You see that? But Saul had given Michal his daughter, David's wife, to Phalti, the son of Laish, which was at Galim. So David, he had multiple women. In this case, he had 3 wives. He had Abigail, Ahinoam, and he was dealing with Saul's daughter, Michal. You see? And also you get, let's see, more concubines. I know that's somewhere in the yep. 2 Samuel the 5th chapter, and I started at 11. And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent messengers, all right, to David and cedar trees and carpenters and masons, and they built David an house. And David perceived that the Lord had established him a king over Israel, and that he had exalted his kingdom for his people Israel's sake. And David took him more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem after he was come from Hebron. And there were yet sons and daughters born to David. All right, he had more sons and more daughters. You see, and these be the names of those that were born unto him in Jerusalem: Shemua and Shobab and Nathan and Solomon, Ibhar also and Elushua, and Nepheg and Japhia, and Elishama and Eliada and Eliphat, Salakia, Eliphalet. You see that? So David took more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem. You know? So it's not a wicked thing to have multiple women. You know, they'll try to say, Solomon had a lot of wives, and you see what they did. No, it wasn't his wives. Let's get that. Let's get 1 Kings 11. All right, to break that down. It says, but King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, woman of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites. And back then, the women, they look way better than the women today. You get a woman back then and compare it to women today, she will look better than all the women, you know. But especially of the Israelites. Verse 2, of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. It says Solomon clave unto these in love. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his power, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Amorites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father. You see? Then David built a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of Ammon. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrifice unto their gods. You see that? So him having multiple women wasn't the sin. It was him worshiping the other gods of the women of these. It was him worshiping the other gods of the women he had, worshiping their gods. If you just put it in the back lack of a better words, he started worshiping their gods instead of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So it wasn't him having a lot of women. It was him worshiping the other gods of the nations. You see that? Let's get Judges. Before we get Judges, let's get Genesis 16:1. Let's go to the beginning. Okay. Sarah or Sarai and Hagar. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bare him no children. And when she had an handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar, and Sarai said unto Abram, Behold now, the Lord have restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my handmaid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai. And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. You see? So Sarah couldn't bear children unto Abraham or Abram at that time. So she went and said, go into my handmaid, who was Hagar. She was an Egyptian. And even Abraham, he had Sarah, he had Hagar, and he dealt with Keturah, and she bare him six sons, which Abraham had eight altogether. He had Ishmael, he had Isaac, who was of the promise, and then he had the six sons by Keturah. You see that? So he dealt with multiple women. Was the Lord displeased with that? No, it wasn't. No, he wasn't. Salaki. Same way with Jacob. He had what, four women? He had. Let's go to that. Let's see if we can bring it up. I know it was Zilpah. Let me see. It was Leah, Zilpah. I know it's in. Let's go to chapter 30. Rachel, Bilhah, Leah, and Zilpah. Yeah, those were their names. All right. But you can read Genesis 30. All right. He had He had 12 sons, which we all should know the story. 12 sons by different women. Rachel, Bilhah, okay, Leah, and Zilpah. Rachel and Leah were sisters, and he had handmaids, Zilpah and Bilhah. Okay, and you go read that story. But let's get Judges 8 and 30. All right. This is Judges chapter 8 and verse 30. I started 28. 40 years of peace. It says, "Thus was Midian subdued before the children of Israel, so that they lifted up their heads no more, and the country was in quietness 40 years in the days of Gideon. And Jerubbaal, the son of Joash, went and dwelt in his own house. And Gideon had 70 sons of his body begotten, for he had many wives. And his concubine that was in Shechem, she also bare him a son, whose name he called Abimelech. And Gideon, the son of Joash, died in a good old age, and was buried in the sepulchre, or the sepulchre of Joash his father, in Ophrah of the Abizarites." You see, so he had Salakia. Gideon had many wives. It said he had 70. Let's read this in NLT. All right, it says he had 70 sons born to him, for he had many wives. 70. He had 70 sons. That's a lot of sons. 70. He had 70 sons, man. Imagine that, having 70 sons. So he had to start it when he was young, in order to have, a lot of children. 70? You had 70 sons, man. Just imagine having 70 sons in this time. You got to start when you're in your teenage years, probably when you're 12, 13. Man. So that shows you that, there's nothing wrong with having multiple women, man. But if you want to have one wife, go ahead and have one wife. Don't make it a doctrine. So this is something we keep going back and forth with IUIC on, but they're not going to get that. They say in the kingdom, we'll have multiple women, But Isaiah 4:1 is going to happen on this side. When all hell breaking loose, when the economy crashes, that's when the women are going to start flocking. It's not going to happen in the kingdom, because we'll be established in the kingdom. There'll be no trouble. It says in Isaiah 4:1, they'll eat their own bread and wear their own apparel. Just give us your last name. See, so you go watch this brother's video. I forgot his name, so Salakia, but it's GMS Feed the Flock. And go watch the Elder Pastor Har's video. I gotta watch it for myself as well. Okay, so response: having multiple wives is biblical. IUIC is looking bad, and it is biblical. There's nothing wrong with having multiple women. We don't push that out as a doctrine, because like I said, the times that we're living in right now. But if you want to have multiple wives, then that's your business. You just know, like we read, you're gonna have trouble in the flesh. So either deal with none, or get you a wife. So Lord's willingness is edifying. All right, we're gonna give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Chakwadash, and double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone that teach and rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. All right, Lord's will, you was edified by this video. Till next video, I'm gonna say Shalom.